Hi guys, this is Vidas.
And Ausra.
Let's start episode 108 of Ask Vidas and Osha podcast. Today's question was sent by Andrew, and he writes, Dear Vidas, thank you for your email, particularly since you must be very busy judging by all your posts. In reply to your question, I am currently working on the Franck's Finale and hoping to move on to Stanford's Reims from the second organ sonata, hopefully in time for Armistice Day 2018. I visited Reims last year. What do I struggle with? Early fingering and ornamentation, particularly making early English music sound coherent and fluid. So, early English music, that's probably John Bull,
Yes.
Redford,
William
Tallis,
Byrd.
Bird, yes, these things. Basically, Fitzwilliam,
Original book
yes,
collection.
collection is
Wonderful collection,
enormous.
yes.
It has gigantic 2 volumes, and I don't even know how many hundreds of pieces there are
But
from the time of before Purcell, I think, the 16th century, end of 16th century, late Renaissance, right? Also?
yes, and I think this collection also includes music by Peter Svelling.
Yes.
The only one, I think, non-English composer.
Exactly. So all those wonderful English composers have a lot of um, passage work and runs with each hand sometimes, and many ornamentation instances.
Yes, you have to be a virtuoso to be able to play these pieces. But of course, there is one also good side about this music. It almost don't have pedal. So you can play it not only on the organ but also on the harpsichord and also on the clavichord or virginal.
Exactly. This is virginal is a smaller version of the harpsichord, like a spinet
Yes,
sort of.
it's really small, tiny.
And it works well on the organ too, I would say. I've
Yes.
played a few years ago an hour-long recital based on this collection, which was devoted for English composers, and I sort of liked it because then, of course, I had to figure out my registration because it's not written in the score because it's really not for the organ, but. I had some imagination with this, and our church organ at Vilnius University St. John's Church was quite colorful.
Yes, and what actually helped me to be able to play better earlier music actually was the clavichord. Actually, basically, the clavichord was that instrument that showed me how to really to play early music well.
What's so unique about the clavichord, Osha?
Well, it's sort of it's an instrument that teaches you to to use correct fingering, then to use right touch of the keyboard. And if you will be able to play a piece of music on the clavichord well, it will be it will sound well on the organ too.
Historical clavichords have shorter keys and very narrow keys, and the touch is so light, and it seems like it's very easy to play, but it's not because you have to use all the big muscles of your back basically to give some weight
Yes,
on the keys.
yes, and because it's different from the organ and harpsichord, because on the organ or harpsichord you can make sound louder or softer only by adding or omitting stops. But in while playing clavichord, you can do actually dynamics just by touch.
Yeah, and remember, you can do
Bebung.
vibrato
Bebung, so-called Bebung.
in German,
Yes.
Bebung, yeah. By gently pressing up and down the key, giving this constant pressure up and down, and that's what vibration comes from.
Yes, and when playing on the clavichord, you understand what the meaning of early fingering is. Because it's impossible to play well on the clavichord early music while using modern fingering.
Exactly. So it's very well suited for English music from the late Renaissance and early Baroque, especially because, as we said, the keys were very narrow, the touch is very light, but you have to avoid thumb, glissandos.
Yes, do position fingering. And by meaning, position fingering, I meaning that you cannot use like a thumb under the.
Under the crossing the thumb,
Yes,
you mean?
yes,
When you
crossing the thumb,
when you
yes.
play a scale, for
Thumb.
example, from C to C, then we usually in modern fingering we do 1 2 3, 1 2 3 4, right? So
And
this
then 5 on the.
on the note F we press with 1, and this thumb is
Goes under.
under your palm.
Yes.
And cross.
So you cannot do that while playing early music.
You have to keep positions and
Yes.
shifting entire palm into new position.
That's right, and also use a lot of the paired fingering. So if you have passage with your right hand, then the good fingers would be 3-4, 3-4, 3-4.
Yes.
If you are playing with your left hand, the good fingering would be 2-3, 2-3, 2-3.
And it depends on the region and the country. Sometimes 1-2, 1-2 with swelling, for example. But uh, I wouldn't worry too much about the difference between the countries. It's too advanced detail. In general, use paired fingering for passages that remind you of scale.
Yes.
And keep position fingering for everything else.
And if you don't have an access to a clavichord, so then practice on the harpsichord or practice it on the mechanical organ. Because if you only practice it on electrical organ or pneumatical organ, it will not do good for such a music as early English music.
Well, yes, it will sound unnatural for these modern instruments and quite boring, I would
Yes,
say.
it will sound boring on the
Mm-hmm.
pneumatical or electric instrument.
Exactly. So then another point is about ornamentation. Which fingers do you like to make ornaments with?
Well, if I'm playing trill, let's say with my right hand, I could do both either 2-3 or 3-4. It doesn't make much difference for me.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, with my left, I could do trill with 3-2 or 3-1, sometimes even. Maybe not so often 3-4 with the left hand. But I could do it.
For a long time, I was amazed how you can do trill with 3 and 4 with your right hand, and I kind of avoided this myself. And only now I'm getting better with 3 and 4. My technique is getting better, I mean.
Good. I'm glad to hear it.
So we all making progress, right?
Yes.
So keep guys practicing and slowly, especially on mechanical action instruments.
And if you are struggling with ornaments, I would suggest you to learn to play the piece without ornaments first. Because what I have encountered while working with other people or remembering early age of my practice, that if I would try to play ornaments right away, I would never play them well. And I could never keep the steady tempo in the piece.
Mm.
So you need to learn your music right rhythmically, without an ornaments first. And when you are fluent with the music score, with all the musical text, then add ornaments.
Strange, I kind of forgot how I first learned music, and nowadays I am learning with ornaments, of course, everything at once. But this is today after 25 years of experience. So maybe other people will need to simplify things at first.
Yes. And if there are some ornaments that you are not able to play well, then just avoid them. Because nobody ruins peace so well as playing ornaments in a bad manner. Or too slow, because we need to sound graceful via an ornaments. And no, if some of them are just too difficult for you, then just don't play them. That's my suggestion.
Good, I agree. Please, guys, practice like we suggest. It really makes difference in the long run. And keep sending us your questions. We love helping you grow. This was Vidas.
And Oshra,
And remember, when you practice,
miracles happen.